Penguin Random House Audio presents Maine Characters, a Novel by Hannah Orenstein. Read for you by Mara Wilson. For My Family. Chapter 1. Vivian. The exit off the highway is so sharp, Vivian Levy throws her hand over the urn so it doesn't topple off the passenger seat. She's never liked to drive these dangerous roads, but she had no other choice. She needed to get out of New York City, get out of her head, fast. She'd unearthed her dad's ancient truck from the garage that morning. It hadn't been used since last summer. 7 hours later, she'd finally made it to Fox Hill, Maine. The town center slips by with blink-and-you'd-miss-it speed. Everything is tucked within 2 blocks. There's the pub with peeling paint and a packed parking lot, the ramshackle market, Miss Pancakes across from the bank, and the seafood shop that closed down 3 years ago. The storefront sign, featuring a faded cartoon lobster, still sits in the darkened window. The busiest intersection doesn't even have a stoplight. As she takes the tight bend around the lily-splattered pond, the radio crackles between stations. A John Mellencamp song ends, and a biblical sermon begins. Vivian punches it off, even though there's been too much grim silence lately. She misses the murmuring hum of the dinner rush, the warbling busker on the West 4th Street subway platform, and even her opera aficionado neighbor in 5F. The cracked pavement road turns to dirt as she winds through a thicket of trees, rolling past a field, a buckling white fence, an imposing clapboard house with a sign claiming 1797 construction. The steep hill dips and rises like a roller coaster. She barely learned to drive here. When she reaches the clearing at the top, lush scenery splays out in front of her. The cookie-cutter shapes of emerald pines, the long-shuttered little red schoolhouse on the dusty road, and beyond it all, the sapphire waters of Fox Hill Lake under a bright sky dolloped with clouds. The first glimpse of this technicolor view catches her off guard every summer. New York City's concrete sidewalks, gray skyscrapers, and grime make it easy to forget Maine's vivid colors. The GPS cuts out, but Vivian doesn't need it anymore. Left at the barn, right at the fork. She crawls along at 10 miles per hour, watching out for potholes and deer. Their house, her house, she corrects herself, is most of the way down the dead-end street. She's not ready to keep up a place like this. She doesn't know the first thing about winterizing the dock or fixing the boiler when it breaks. The responsibility is too much for one person, especially Vivian. Turning into the driveway, she sighs at the familiar sight of the 3-story, honey-colored house. One apple-red shutter hangs askew, something her dad had been meaning to fix. Arriving after a year away is like slipping into a well-worn, but not particularly beloved old sweatshirt. This time, though, an unfamiliar Chevy sedan is parked out front. Vivian's pulse ticks up as she notices the house's lights are on. Hank was an only child who inherited this property after his own parents' untimely death. She doesn't have any aunts or uncles who could be poking around the house. Nobody should be here. It's a humid 80 degrees, but dread turns her blood cold. Steeling herself, she gets out of the car. Her breath is shallow as a stranger pushes through the screen door. The woman squints at her through pale, pink-rimmed glasses. Then her warm brown eyes widen. She looks about Vivian's age, with a blonde ponytail and a furrowed brow. The uninvited, though admittedly not very threatening, guest jogs down the front walk, flip-flops thwapping against the concrete, and stops short in the driveway. "Hi," she says, wringing her hands. Vivian's heart beats faster. She removes her oversized sunglasses. "Can I help you?" The blonde gapes, then finds her voice. Do you know who I am? A haughty response tumbles loose before Vivian can think it through. No. Should I? The woman's posture wilts like a week-old bouquet. I guess not, she says. Guilt flashes through Vivian, but she has every right to stay guarded. This woman was in her house, after all. The stranger takes a deep, shuddering breath and pauses to compose herself. When she looks up again, her jaw is set. I'm Lucy Webster. She scans Vivian's face as if she's hoping for a flicker of recognition. Vivian stiffens. Okay. And? I'm just... As she grasps for an explanation, Vivian's anger surges up like bile. This woman is solid, three-dimensional, alive, close enough that Vivian can watch the pink creep into her cheeks. Unless she's wildly mistaken, Lucy is proof that she wasn't crazy. She was lied to, again and again. I'm sorry, this is my property, she snaps. You need to leave. Wait, Lucy says, desperately. But Vivian can't. The shock is simmering under her skin, ready to boil over. She could scream. I'm serious. Go. 16 years of secrecy and gaslighting are about to erupt. She needs to be alone when she falls apart. No, Lucy says, looking surprised by her own strength. Vivian glares, incredulous. No. Please, listen. It would take 10 seconds to push past Lucy into the house and lock the door behind her. But then Vivian might never have a chance to learn the truth. Lord knows she won't get it from her mother. She exhales. What? You're Hank Levy's daughter? Vivian crosses her arms. Yeah. With a nervous smile, Lucy says, So am I. So there it is. With a sharp bark of laughter, Vivian says, You have to be fucking kidding me. Lucy's face pinches in something like pity or disappointment. I'm not. Vivian is dizzy. It's one thing to have a wild theory about her dad's shady behavior. It's another to have it confirmed. She goes on the offensive. Prove it. Lucy looks around the overgrown yard. His name is actually Henry. He was born in Newton, Massachusetts on August 20th, 1970. He went to Columbia. He owned a... Vivian interrupts, rolling her eyes. Congratulations on Googling him. She'd imagined this moment would feel victorious, but instead, it's sickening. He's allergic to walnuts. He's played poker with the same group of guys for 20 years, and last time he won, he got a pair of tickets to the Yankees-Sox game. He bought the living room speakers in there with his first bonus check from his first ever banking job, and... No, Vivian doesn't want to hear this. Any of it. She takes aim with her only weapon. You don't even know, do you? Lucy tilts her head. What? She fires. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, Vivian says, not feeling very sorry at all. He's dead. Lucy. Lucy has been submerged in a suffocating kind of despair ever since Memorial Day weekend. Vivian's words yank her up, force her to focus. He's dead? Vivian crosses her arms. Gone. When did it happen? Lucy manages. 2 weeks ago. Lucy's jaw sags. She should have noticed something was wrong sooner. Hank never returned the voicemail she left on Father's Day, and he didn't answer her texts about his upcoming annual visit either. Under different circumstances, she would have thought more of her dad's silence. But for the past 6 weeks, Lucy has barely been able to peel herself out of bed. She spent her days trudging through the motions of teaching classes and grading final exams. But it all feels wildly wrong, like she's...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?